and we know more or less where some of the ore bodies will be developed. So what you need is drill, drill, drill.
So good day, everybody, and welcome to Spotlight Mining. I'm Liam Hardy, and I'm joined by a special guest today from Portugal, Jose Mario. How are you doing, Jose?
Hello, Liam. I'm okay, thank you. Enjoying your presence too, and your interview.
Yeah, it looks like you're swimming in a mine there. Is that intentional?
Yes, that's a mine in the Iberian Pyrite Belt, which was stopped in the early 60s. It's San Domingos mine, which is in the northern strip of the Pyrite Belt, not far from the project we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
Although it's not in the Pyrite Belt.
Yeah. I love, as you travel around Portugal, it's full of these old historic mines around Losal, Aljustrel, which I keep pronouncing the J in a Spanish way, so you'll have to correct me every time. But yeah, Portugal has a great mining history. Maybe you could introduce maybe yourself first, and then a bit of Portugal's mining history for us.
Okay, I'm Jose Mario Castelo Branco, my family name, and I'm working on mineral exploration for more than 35 years, and I've been involved with several of the major multinational companies like Rio Tinto, and before Rio Tinto, BP Minerals, and after Rio Narcia Gold Mines, and more lately with the London Group, mostly in all a bit on all Europe, on the exploration properties they used to have in Europe. And more recently, I became a consultant. I joined a consultancy firm, and I'm one of the partners. At the same time, I'm providing services and support, and in this case, I'm integrating the management group of Goldplay Mining. Okay, that's my story.
And you mentioned, you mentioned you were working with Lundin there. Many people don't know that Lundin operate one of Europe's biggest copper mines through Somincor in Portugal. Maybe tell us a little bit about Neves Corvo.
Well, Neves Corvo it's used to be, when it was founded, was really world-class underground mine when it was first found, because the first drill intercepted something like 150 meters of massive sulfide. So you can imagine the active enthusiasm that this discovery generated. And from there, they came up with a reserve that has been maintained during the past 30 years to around 30 million tons. So they keep on catching up with new reserves. But just to give you an idea, it's an estimation, a broad estimation on the size of the deposit exceeds something like 300 million tons of massive sulfide ore, not including the stockwork ore. So, well, the historical rates were crazy. When it was first found, the grades were exceeding 13% copper. And one part of the deposit, which was extremely rich in tin, and they managed to mine ore during, I forgot the name of the number of years, but something like 10 years of high-grade tin ore. When I mean high-grade, I really mean high-grade, 1.5% tin. So the mine keeps on with same, other resources as one would expect. Throughout the years, the grades are going down, but still a very profitable operation. And along with that, will be Aljustrel mine, which is fully operating now, has been maintained, has been kept on care and maintenance for many years. And from 2008, 2009 was reopened, and the mine is operating pretty well, full steam. And those are the main mines, along with as you probably know, the big tungsten mine, which is operating now, Panasqueira. And that's the story. And because of those mines, there is obviously an interest, in exploration. And Goldplay is an example of that.
Yeah, and I think it's fantastic. Obviously, we're on the Canadian stock market now. We're TSXV AUC with Goldplay, and many Canadian investors might not be aware of the scale of mining in Portugal that already exists. A lot of people are scared to come to Europe and explore because they don't think mining is possible here. But Portugal can really prove that wrong as one of the most active countries in Europe for mining.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, until now, yeah, it's been possible to mine. We've got, along with the metal mining, we have a big tradition on industrial minerals and materials mining, and you have hundreds of operations active throughout the country, and curiously, one of these projects that we'll be talking about, it's centered in an operating area for marble, a massive zone of marble mining, which is a big Precambrian anticline that in the flanks hosts lower Ordovician carbonate rocks, which have been converted into high quality marble, which is exported for all Europe and for East Asia, Japan, etc., and China. So,
as well as the major mining across Portugal, there's already infrastructure in place near this project that Goldplay are picking up.
Yes, that's correct.
Which is very rare for any new projects to come across and be next door to an existing project. So.
Yeah, and it's an area that people tend to be strongly pro-mining, because of the tradition and the employment in the area is strongly conditioned by the activity of the mining sector.
Yeah, so I mean, these projects don't really suffer any of the problems that people normally think of when they look at Europe in terms of public opinion and access to materials and equipment. So, so why don't we introduce... Let's introduce the projects that Goldplay is picking up. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about each one and why they were selected for the portfolio.
Okay, most of the people are probably more familiar with the Iberian Pirate Belt. That's exactly where all these deposits, except tungsten, the two copper deposits, Neves Corvo and Alostel, sit. And further north, there is dominantly a core, a lithotectonic province, which has got the core is a Precambrian basement, which includes all series of mineralized belts, namely one which is some zones is copper gold and some iron. So people tend to call it, or there are some authors that think that this is a kind of a strange IOGC district. There is some debate about that. I won't commit into that. But what you see is really dominantly copper and gold. And it happens that in the center of that belt, we have taken an application, which is the known Borba 2 is Borba 2 because some years ago it used to be called Borba, just Borba 0. So it's an interesting zone because you can find several types of mineralization, from shear type to epithermal style to typically vein type, extensional vein type. In common, what do they have is copper gold, or gold copper. And one of these occurrences was actually mined until the early 80s, and there is an open pit, well, sitting right in the middle of a zone, so almost surrounded by a zone of marble mining, laterally or along strike. So it's really an interesting area. Has been drilled, and the typical mineralization is sulfide hosted in a broad shear zone, which varies in thickness between 10 to 13 meters, and it's open at depth. At surface, the open pit was at surface concentrated in the oxide carbonate zone. So there was a heap leaching operation, and the underground or the deeper part of the system, it's open at depth. It's sulfide ore, so we would make a different approach, but it's really untouched, other than by drilling. Yeah? So there are no mining works. So I think the upside potential is either at depth and along strike. This shear zone has been mapped. The actual workings are concentrated within an area of let us say 350 meters along strike. So there is a new world to explore in the area as soon you decide to, well, investigate and drill it afterwards. Yeah. Along with that, there will be there is another example of copper. That one, this is mostly copper. This the Miguel Vacas, that's how it's called, is mostly copper. And there is another one which is an extension of kind of long vein, also vein system. I would call it a vein system. Extends for more than 1 kilometer long strike, and you can get interesting gold grades in it with associated copper and some arsenic too. Arsenic is always present. When you get some gold in these types of terrains, you often get an arsenic anomaly. Although sometimes the correlation is not that obvious, you always find a correlation. And along with that, you have a small little prospect that's been only hardly drilled. Well, only started drilling with shallow drilling. It's an epithermal. Well, I would call it almost a Carlin type, small scale from what we see Carlin type deposit, which is a replacement on carbonates that have been tapped by an impermeable black shale unit. So most of the mineralization is in silicified, oxidized carbonate stringers, veins, stockworks, and alter the silicified rock. Well, along with that, there will be several other smaller scale properties, but I think these three would be the ones that we will focus our attention as soon as we have the area granted, which we are expecting it at any moment. So Goldplay is very enthusiastic about this, and as soon as we can, we'll get our hands in the ground. And we were hoping to be able to start to be drilling already in several, or at least checking one or two of these targets immediately by drilling, end of the summer, I would say. I think that's a summary. I can make it.
That's a big summary. I was going to try and summarize it further, just to say multiple targets there, lots and lots of different styles of system, historic mining. So we know there's copper there. It's been mapped. It's been defined on a basic level, and a big potential to really develop a mine here, not just poke a few holes in, but it sounds like there's definitely the possibility of us finding something decent here.
Yes, that will be. Yeah. This is well, and the one that can quickly get into a mine mine project. It's this one that I was mentioning you, the Miguel Vacas. You can, I think, with a bit of luck, you always need luck, but with a successful drilling campaign, you will be able to come up with an interesting resource. And when I say interesting resource, is thinking on an operation of 25,000 tons a year of copper or something, which is reasonable.
It's something I always try to pick up with companies. As many of our listeners will know, I'm a big fan of cash flow. I think tapping the stock market repeatedly for 10, 15 years to try and build a project is not a sustainable way to run a business. If there's an opportunity to go and dig up metal, why not dig up some metal and pay the company his own way, right?
Yeah, that's a bit our focus. So, we are very, very enthusiastic about it because finally we'll have together with COVID we had a few delays, but we are hoping to put our hands into the ground by the end of this summer, I would think.
So what's the expected schedule here? I mean, where are you going to begin, just with surface work and mapping, or you have drill targets defined, or?
Well, we have the project in several phases. I think the Miguel Vacas property is the area of the main mining work. It's ready. It's still ready, basically. We have the mapping, pretty accurate mapping. And we know more or less where some of the ore bodies will be developed. So what you need is drill, and come up with a, initially we have a kind of an in-house resource, but I wouldn't report it because it's really in-house. But you could have some potential there, and you would come up with initially with an inferred. But you could rapidly transform this inferred into an indicated, and you can play with an indicated. I think you got some potential for, I would say, 200,000 tons of copper metal in this particular prospect.
And for me, this presents such an exciting project to get into as an investor. It's very rare that projects come to market with this amount of data available already, with this much potential to move quickly. And people nowadays are after very quick turnarounds on their investments, and this is more likely than most to have a quick turnaround.
Now it's pretty developed for a greenfields project. It's almost a transition kind of thing. So what you need is to consolidate. First in one, and the thing is that the property is pretty big. You can also find a new areas, because this area is something like, in the last block that we have come up with, we have about 328 square kilometers. So it's pretty big area. As an indication, according to the present law, mining law, you cannot apply for individual license blocks for areas bigger than 500 square kilometers. So 500 square kilometers is your limit. In this case, it's 328.5.
I think 500 is a fairly worldwide limit to stop people just taking the whole country in one go, right? Yeah, without paying the right fees.
Used to be 1,000, but they reduced because there was more competition. So because of the competition, the mines department wanted to do. Well, I understand that. Give more space for competitors to get involved. Yeah.
Definitely. So thank you for the chat, Jose. Really informative and wonderful to hear about Portugal and Portuguese geology. I'm hoping to come out and visit you in the next few months. We'll bring the drone down. We'll come and have a look at these projects you're talking about, and hopefully we can bring our viewers along with us.
Okay. Okay, Lima.
Thank you very much, Jose. Have a
Nice
really
to
wonderful
talk to
day,
you.
and
Yeah,
we'll speak
thank
soon.
you. Okay,
Thanks.
you have to.